Heyo, Plaidman here. So I'm reshooting a video, which I haven't done that before. I made it, I posted it, maybe even a few of you saw it, and my wife said, I really don't like that video for numerous reasons. Probably because I was very repetitive and a bit incoherent and had too much to drink before making the video, before calling a spade a spade. So anyhow, I'm gonna do it. It'll be a shorter video because in the process of watching it, I understood the context of what I was talking about and I can condense it down considerably. So the simplicity of it is, I see where the world is going and what is happening. You probably all see it yourself in your own way. And those of you that don't, realize and try to remember what gas prices used to be, what food prices used to be, how difficult things have gotten, because we currently live in a world where we're very much frogs in a pot, and the heat has been turned up and it's slowly getting hotter and hotter and hotter. And there are people who are more sensitive, more aware of what's going on, and they've been saying like, hey, hello, pot's getting hot, this is not good. And we're now getting to the point where even people who are not paying attention are starting to realize like, wait, this is not comfortable. Excuse me. So that being the case, simply put, I look at it as you always have tons of options, but I really think that there's only two major options that the average person really has. One is, this isn't two. So the option one, you always have the option to just stick your head in the sand and be like, not my problem, I don't really care, whatever. Or, oh, well, it's too far gone to do anything about it. I don't really see that. Neither of those options are real options, because effectively both result in, their different ways of not confronting, both result in the same thing, which is your ultimate death. Like, and frankly, you're not going to be a contributing member to those of us that want to survive. So if you like either of those options, then you don't need to watch the video anymore. You can go on living your life. Please don't vote, because you're not going to vote the right way. So kind of true, but you know, I don't know. There's something to be said for somebody who refuses to learn anything and really refuses to contribute to the solution, and they just decide to not do anything, which is effectively a contribution to the problem. Anyhow, so the way I see it is, as shitty as things are, you can either prepare for the worst, okay? With that being like the worst of the worst. Like, look, you and your family need to start learning how to be somewhat self-sufficient. You should probably stock up on food stuff, whether it's MREs or whatever. Like, you know, ammo is going to be a tradable resource in the future. So if you were to stock up on that, that wouldn't be detrimental for your future exchange. Learn how to have chickens and things like basically prepare. And prepare as in, like, are you going to stay where you're at? Are you going to go somewhere else? Do you know how to hunt? Do you know how to skin? Like, do you have any skills that are useful outside of like an office job? If you don't, it would be wise to start learning those things, if that's the route that you want to like to go. And I'm not trying to be a doomsayer. Frankly, all the things I just said are good things to have anyways. So even if I'm wrong and that never happens and you never have a need for those things, at least you got some valuable family time in, you bought some stuff that you can resell to somebody else or use it yourself just for funsies on a camping trip. So it's really a no loss thing. But I think it's a very valuable and important thing for people to look at. And I'm confronting this myself and trying to come to terms with like, okay, how much of my resources do I spend on that? Because I'm not trying to be like, it's going to happen right now. But I do think that it's something that one should spend some resources and attention on so that they're not totally caught off of whack. And it doesn't even have to be like something really, really drastic. It could just simply be, hey, the power went out, so for 2 weeks, you don't have power. How are you going to do that? How are you going to flush your toilet? How are you going to have lights? How are you going to have this? Whatever. oh, it's cold and the power's out. Like, these are things that happen currently and shouldn't be happening, but they happen currently in the United States. So you as a citizen should be prepared for that thing anyways. The last thing is something that's a bit more involved and a little more airy-fairy as to like, well, what does one do? Like, how do you really confront the badness that is happening and then stop it and cause it to stop its regression and start moving upwards? And I think the first thing I'm going to say is simply, you need to stop being nice, or polite or gentlemanly or super courteous and, you know, always put on kid gloves. And that doesn't mean that you need to be an a-hole. What that actually means is that you need to, if someone has an opinion that doesn't really make sense, is not logical, and is frankly a contributing element or dynamic to the detriment to society. And I'll give you an example. Like, I've had several conversations when I go to the grocery store because they charge 10 cents for a plastic bag. And I brought to their attention, like, no, I don't want to do that because that's just a tax. And I've had conversations where they don't realize it is a tax. And I basically have to educate these people on, yeah, no, this is a tax that was authorized for this reason. I'm not a fan of this. Do you even know where the money goes? No. And it doesn't have to literally be that, but it can be all these little things where it's just you conversate on people on your daily thing and you kind of refuse to contribute to that motion. And more than just, oh, I'm not going to contribute, also educate those around you politely with manners. You don't be an a-hole and just be like, no, sorry, that doesn't fly. That doesn't work. I feel the more and more that people do that, the better things will be. It's initially going to be difficult because you're going to be like, well, I don't even talk to my family about this. And that's another thing, is like, you really should. You really should. It doesn't have to, you don't have to reserve it for the 3 times a year that you see them and ruin every like family get together. However, if your siblings or your parents or your aunt or your best friend or your coworkers, they have viewpoints that are like not conducive, in some small way, it is the responsibility. It's always on to you, but because it is your responsibility. If you want the world to change, you have to change. And if you can't literally do everything, but you can affect change by conversating and by setting a good example to those around you. And if you're unwilling to do that, then that's fine. That's your prerogative. But realize that you've effectively put yourself in either, I'm going to stick my head in the sand and just live my life. And even if you're setting the best example, if the world burns around, if you're the only house in the neighborhood that's not burnt down, or all the lights are off but yours, well, that's great. Where do you think the bandits are going to go first? Your house. But if your whole neighborhood's lit up and everything else isn't, and you got the people around you that are like down, or something throws down, you're like, oh, let's go to Uncle Jeff's house or whatever. I've just made up. And like, that's your zone because you've prepped and your family's all geared for this and prepared, then great. And then hopefully it doesn't even get that bad. Then you start developing a group of people, and you'd be amazed at how many people are in agreement with certain viewpoints if you just couch it in a way that like they come to terms with. It doesn't have to be a zero-sum game. It doesn't have to be this opinion or this opinion and nothing in between. You can get someone to go away from this ridiculous, crazy argument and go towards yours if you just give up a little bit on yours. It doesn't have to be this or this. You can go in between. And I think there's this interesting and somewhat valid point to be like, well, I think it's rude to have these political conversations in a public place and so on and so forth. And I understand and I agree. Keep in mind, we are past that phase now. We are past it. Because it used to be that way. You didn't talk about your sexuality, your proclivities, this and that, your gender, like all this stuff was like, oh, the polite society doesn't talk about that. But if you'll note, it is being thrust in our face constantly, nonstop, whether it's media, whether it's like legacy media, or TV shows or movies or what have you. And whatever, however you feel about that, that's a separate conversation. But realize that there is another perspective. There are other perspectives that, whereas before they would kind of be talked about in private, and then now it has been thrust to in the public face, everyone talks about it. Somehow this minority subject is become one of the major voting things, and whatever it might be. There's half a dozen that are like that. So because of that, it's broken through this socially polite wall, and now it's actually imperative that you bring it up. Now, don't lose your job. Don't cause a fight. Don't really cause a major upset with someone. Like, I'm not trying to say insult people, but also understand that you can communicate your perspective. And even if someone's upset by your perspective, that's on them, okay? It is imperative that you as an individual start taking responsibility for yourself, your family, and the space around you, and realize that the people around you ultimately are those that have your sides and your back. And if you can't trust them to even be on the same team as you on certain things, then how, when things get bad, can you trust them to hold the line with you? How? You can't. So that means that effectively your team, the people closest around you, your crew, they all kind of need to be in the same zone. And if they're not, then you should probably swap them out with somebody who is. I feel like I'm talking in circles, but that's effectively where I see things going. I'm not trying to be doom and gloom. I do think humankind will persist, but currently the way things look, it's not looking terribly good. So you can either prep and just be like, it is what it is, there's nothing we can do, or you can be of the mind and start thinking like, how can I help change it for the better? And not just a light on a hill, but actually help change the minds of those around me so that they realize that even if we don't agree on everything, we are all basically on this team that realizes things are bad and we're trying to fix it before it gets so bad that we can't go back. And that's kind of what I wanted to say. This is, I guess, technically my third video today. I'm going to make a fourth one because I had posted a video and I forgot to set the privacy off, so it doesn't really count. I'm trying to catch up on videos. I'm so sorry. I have more real-time videos for you. Thank you very much. Plaidman out.